You ever have one of those days that starts out feeling like you're on top of the world, only for the universe to grab you by the collar and remind you how small you really are? Yeah, that happened to me. Benedict Ashworth, CEO, a guy who thought he had it all figured out when my luxury Rolls-Royce coughed its last breath on some dusty back road outside Stone Harbor, Pennsylvania. Let me back up a sec, because if you'd told me that the best thing to happen to me all year would be meeting a 12-year-old girl with grease on her knuckles and tragedy in her eyes, I would have laughed you out of the room. That morning, the sun was slicing through the trees, and I was dressed to kill. Charcoal suit, hand-stitched shoes, checking my Rolex every 3 seconds. I had a speech to give, a multi-million-dollar deal on the line, and not a care in the world except making it to Harrisburg on time. But life, it's got a wicked sense of humor. My car, this British beast that's supposed to be flawless, starts steaming like a kettle and just dies. I'm furious, pacing the shoulder, swearing under my breath about German engineering even though, yeah, Rolls-Royce is British, but frustration has no room for accuracy. My phone barely gets a signal, and my backup driver is 2 hours away, so I'm stuck literally and metaphorically. Meanwhile, 3 miles away, there's Luna Gray Stafford, 12 years old, barely 4'8", already elbows deep in the engine bay of a battered Chevy pickup at her grandpa Steele's auto shop. She moves with this calm, practiced confidence that you only see in people who speak machine as a first language. Grandpa Steele, old Marine, voice like gravel, arthritis in his hands but pride in his chest, shouts for a socket wrench, and Luna passes him the right size without even looking. You could just tell this is her world. When a car breaks down on Route 412, the Staffords don't wait for the phone to ring. They head out, old Ford tow truck rattling, radio spitting out small-town news. In a place like Stone Harbor, reputation matters more than profit. Folks trade favors instead of checks, and nobody's left stranded. They pull up next to my car, and Steele tips his cap in that half-respectful, half-sly way only small-town mechanics can pull off. He introduces himself, says this is his granddaughter, and to him, ashamed to admit it, barely look at them. I tell them I need a specialist, thinking, what could these two know about a car that costs more than their house? But then Luna pipes up, quiet but steady. Actually, Rolls-Royce is British. Engine's based on a BMW, but they do a lot of their own work for smoothness. I turn, stunned, as this kid starts talking shop in a way most adults can't. Steele just smiles. Why don't you tell us what happened? He asks. I explain. No warnings, no weird noises, just an engine that died dead as a doornail. Luna listens, pokes around under the hood, asks about gas, checks lines with hands small enough to reach places even my dealership guys struggle with. After a few minutes, she looks up. All business. Your high-pressure fuel pump failed. The low-pressure pump in the tank is still running, but the direct injection system's got nothing. It's a known issue with some of the BMW V12 S-Rolls, doesn't exactly advertise it. Honestly, I almost laughed. A 12-year-old just diagnosed what 3 certified techs couldn't. I ask her for a solution. She shrugs, glancing at Steele for the green light. Normally you'd need a part shipped in, maybe $1,000, couple days wait, but I can rig a temp fix if you trust me. For the first time since breaking down, I actually smile. Kid, at this point, I trust anyone who can tell me what's wrong with my car. What happened next, let me tell you. You couldn't make this up. Luna goes back to her shop, comes back with a salvage fuel pump from a Honda Civic, some lines and adapters, lays everything out like she's prepping for surgery. She talks as she works about fuel delivery, about how engines talk, if you listen right, about her dad, a Marine who died in Afghanistan, and how Grandpa Steele taught her everything from the time she could hold a wrench. The whole time, her hands move with this genius-level certainty. She wires in the pump, tests it, and tells me to start the car. I turn the key. 12 cylinders purr to life. Flawless. Luna wipes her hands and says, should get you where you need to go, but you'll want to get that pump replaced soon. I reach for my wallet, ready to drop a stack of cash because honestly, this was a miracle, but Steele stops me. $65. That's our posted rate. I stare at him, dumbfounded. You just saved my contract. He shakes his head. We don't charge extra for doing what's right. That's when I finally noticed the rings. 2, on a thin chain around Luna's neck, one a Purple Heart, one a Marine Corps ring. I ask about them, and her answer floors me. They were my dad's, she says. He died when I was 7. Served in Afghanistan. My family's been serving since World War I. And in that moment, every notion I'd had about value, about worth, about what it means to serve just evaporated. For me, service had always been about deals, about leverage, about getting ahead. But for Luna, it was about making things better for others, even when nobody's watching. The twist? Fixing my car brings Luna into the spotlight, local hero, but also a target. Someone files an anonymous complaint with Child Protective Services, claiming she's a child laborer that steals, endangering her. Suddenly, the shop's under investigation, the threat of Luna being taken away hanging over their heads. Stone Harbor rallies behind them, but the real kicker? Turns out the call came from someone inside my own legal department, trying to protect the brand by nuking any risk, even if it meant destroying a kid's life. When I find out, I'm furious. People I trusted using the system to crush the little guy. I fire those responsible on the spot, but I know it isn't enough. Luna and Steele, instead of lashing out, start gathering support, documenting everything, building a network. The community comes together. Neighbors testify, the local pastor, the judge, Luna's pediatrician, all lining up to prove what's right. Even my daughter Monica, a social worker, steps in to help, realizing real welfare is about love and stability, not box checking. Meanwhile, corporate pressure ramps up. My company starts leaning on local suppliers to blacklist Steele's shop. Luna, sharp as ever, finds out, confronts my head of security, and manages to get herself into my Friday legal briefing with Monica's help. She sits across from me, lays out everything, the harassment, the truth, the cost. She doesn't ask for pity, just justice. That's when I realize this kid, her family, this whole community, they represent everything my company claims to value but has forgotten. I overturn every retaliatory order, call the authorities myself to clear Luna's name, and, more importantly, vow to make real amends. We launch a technical training center in Stone Harbor, making Steele's shop the anchor, offering apprenticeships, scholarships, real investment. What started as a crisis becomes a model, spreading across the state, catching the attention of legislators, educators, other CEOs. And Luna, now 13, stands in front of the Pennsylvania Senate, advocating for hands-on education, her words ringing out not as a victim, but as a leader. Does it solve everything? Of course not. There's always pushback. Old habits die hard, and profit is a tough god to dethrone. But for the first time, I see what real success looks like, not in contracts signed or stock prices, but in the lives changed, the trust built, the courage to fix what's broken, not just in engines, but in systems and hearts. You still with me? Because this is where I ask you, what would you do? Where do you stand when power and justice collide? Are you willing to speak up when the rules are wrong? Or do you look the other way? Drop your thoughts below, because real change doesn't start in boardrooms, it starts with conversations like this. If you found something here that struck a chord, hit that subscribe button, share your story, and stick around. There's plenty more to tell, and who knows, maybe next time, the hero of the story will be you.